I'm Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent. This week, the US stock market had a monster rally November 10th, led by the Dow Jones Industrial Average's impressive 1,200 point gain. This was the best single session performance since 2020. Stocks soared, the metals market rallied, and even cryptocurrencies enjoyed a respite from their hemorrhaging. Meanwhile, treasury yields tanked and the US dollar index plummeted after soaring for much of the year. So, what happened? The October Consumer Price Index eased to 7.7%, down from 8.2% in September and below the market estimate of 8%. Even the core inflation rate, which eliminates the volatile food and energy sectors, eased to 6.3%, down from 6.6%, and below economists' expectations of 6.5%. Investors cheered the inflation data. Traders started betting that the Federal Reserve would only raise interest rates by 50 basis points at the December Federal Open Market Committee policy meeting, and then perhaps hit the pause button in the new year. For a financial market that has been mostly addicted to easy money policies for 30 years, euphoria seeped into the air on Wall Street. Doesn't mean it's time to buy all the things. Sure, even though the fundamentals on the street are not sound and have not been sound for quite some time. Following the 1 month sell-off in the early days of the coronavirus pandemic, the Fed intervened by slashing interest rates to zero. This ignited the greatest rally in US stock market history as its central bank injected trillions of liquidity into the financial system. But what about a recession? Well, this is a bit more complicated. Yes, everyone is expecting another recession in 2023 after coming out of a quick two-quarter downturn in the first half of 2022, fueled by high inflation and rising interest rates. But because the signals suggest that inflation might be finally coming down at a pace the Fed wants, investors are anticipating that perhaps the Eccles building would also pull the trigger on a rate cut to support the US economy. Remember, any time there has been a hint of trouble in the world's largest economy, the Federal Reserve has intervened with some stimulus programs. This was true yesterday, and this will be true tomorrow. While some market experts are minimizing the size of a recession, contending that it will be a short and shallow one, the state of the current economic conditions suggests that it might be a horrific recession. The housing market is collapsing. Purchasing Managers Index or PMIs are tumbling. Consumer spending is trending downward, and the Fed's money supply growth has stalled. Economist Stephen Hanke warned that 0% money supply growth after a 40% increase will ultimately trigger a sharp economic downturn. Meanwhile, consider what Preston Caldwell, the chief economist at Morningstar, recently wrote, quote, "Once the Fed wins the war against inflation, it will shift to cutting interest rates in order to get the economy moving again. We expect the Fed will pivot to easing monetary policy in mid-2023 as inflation falls back to its 2% target and the need to shore up economic growth becomes a top concern." The Fed can never be a responsible institution that gets it right. The Fed, as has been proven since the beginning of the COVID-19 public health crisis, has gotten it wrong on every front, from inflation to monetary policy to the United States stock market. It has a horrible track record. So, in the end, Chair Jerome Powell will pause, pivot, and cut. It's the Federal Reserve way. But will this only create a vicious cycle of inflation, recession, repeat? Only time will tell. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column on thelibertynation.com, where I dive into a wide range of issues, including the triple-demic, the October CPI report, China reopening, and much, much more. Thank you.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.
I'm Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the Swamp.